Now coming to example 1. Example 1 says that there is a maximum demand on a system, 500 megawatt. So on a system there is a maximum demand is equals to 500 megawatt, and the minimum demand on the same system for a year is 400 megawatt. So if the plant capacity factor is 750 megawatt, we have to find first of all the plant capacity factor. Second, the load factor. Thirdly, the plant utilization factor. And lastly, we have to find the reserve capacity. We have to find 3 or 4 things actually: the plant capacity factor, plant utilization factor, the load factor, and the reserve capacity. When on a system the maximum demand is 500 megawatt and the minimum demand is 400 megawatt, the plant capacity, it's not the factor, it's the plant capacity, is equals to 750 megawatt. How to start with this question? So the maximum demand is given, the minimum demand is given, so we can find the average demand or average load. So average load is equals to the maximum demand plus the minimum demand divided by 2. That is 500 plus 400 divided by 2, which is called as the 250 megawatt. This is the average demand which is all time present in the system. This is the average demand. So we can have the plant capacity factor PCF is equals to the average demand divided by the plant rated plant capacity. It is called the average demand divided by the rated system capacity. So one can directly say that the average demand is 450 right now and the plant capacity is 750 megawatt. The plant capacity, which is coming as 0.6. So the answer for plant capacity factor is 0.6. So I can have the load factor also. I can find the load factor now. Load factor, as we know, that the load factor is average demand by the maximum demand. So average demand which we have found is load factor, which we can write that average demand for the maximum demand, which is equals to average demand which we have found in the earlier part of the question is 450 megawatts divided by the maximum demand, which is 500 megawatts already given. So we can have the load factor as 0.9. Load factor is coming as 0.9. Now coming to the plant utilization factor. The plant utilization factor or PUF is called the maximum demand to the plant capacity, which is both the things are directly given. So we can find the plant utilization factor, which is called the PUF, is equals to maximum demand divided by the rated system capacity, which is called the maximum demand, which is already given in this question is 500 megawatts and plant capacity is given as 750. So we can find the plant utilization factor as 0.667. Now coming to the reserve capacity, last part of this question is called the reserve capacity. Reserve capacity is equals to the plant capacity, total capacity of the system minus the maximum demand or the maximum load. If we see in any load curve, this is my load curve suppose, and this is my maximum demand suppose exactly equals to 500 in the same question, and my plant capacity is right now 750. So this is the capacity which is always in my reserve, which is from 500 to 700. So I can have the reserve capacity as my rated system capacity minus of maximum demand. So from the question is directly possible to answer this thing. 750 minus 500, that is equal to 250 megawatts. So 250 megawatts here is called as the reserve capacity, which is not in use but it is actually present in the system for future expansions and for further peak loads. If any other system is requiring this 250 megawatts in addition, so the capacity of this system is that it is able to cope up with its maximum demand, which is called right now as 500 megawatt, and this system is able to give more surplus power to some other interconnection or some other station or some other place of 250 megawatt, which is called the reserve capacity, such that it will be producing the power on its rated system capacity. At that time, my plant utilization factor would be 1 and the plant capacity factor would be 1, such that my system would be able to produce 750 megawatts. So this is the thing which we can understand from this question, that if the maximum demand is low from the reserve capacity, so I will be having surplus power. If I want to produce some more electricity or some more power, I will be able to produce beyond my maximum power. If my reserve capacity would be here, then it may be possible that I have to take this much of amount which is beyond this line from some other interconnection, and I will not be having any reserve capacity at that moment. We can go for some more questions. Another question which shows that can have an example 2. Example 2 says that the maximum demand of the system is 400 megawatt. The load factor is also given as 0.9. The plant capacity factor, the PCF, is also given as 0.6. So we have to find the plant capacity. We have to find the plant capacity. So it's an objective type of question. It's just a 2-minute question. So rather than putting so much of mind into it, we can directly solve this question. We know that the plant capacity factor is equals to the average demand upon the rated system capacity, and maximum plant capacity we can write as the maximum demand multiplied by the load factor. So I can write average demand right now as maximum demand into load factor. How I have written this thing? Average demand upon maximum demand is equals to what? Is equals to load factor. So the average demand will be equals to maximum demand into the load factor. So I can write this thing directly, that the average demand is equals to maximum demand into load factor divided by the rated system capacity is equals to the plant capacity factor. Now we need to have the rated system capacity or the plant capacity. So the plant capacity, which is the rated system capacity here, will be equals to maximum demand into load factor divided by my plant capacity factor. So the maximum demand is 400 megawatt into the load factor, which is given as here as 0.9 divided by the plant capacity factor, which is given as 0.6. So I can have my plant capacity as 600 megawatts. This is the answer for this plant capacity, which is equals to now 600 megawatt. In the same question, if the same question asks for the reserve capacity also, if this was the first part of the question, if the second part of the same question, if asked for the reserve capacity also, then this reserve capacity will be equals to, as we have calculated in the previous example also, that the rated system capacity or the plant capacity minus the maximum demand. Here the plant capacity is 600 megawatts and the maximum demand is 400 megawatts. So here the reserve capacity would be 200 megawatts. So likewise we can solve different type of questions in load characteristics. We can go for another example, number 3, to understand the same thing, which is called as the plant capacity factors and plant utilization factor. In this, the plant capacity factor is given as 0.5. In the previous question, just to remind you people that in the previous question in example number 2, which we have seen that the plant capacity factor is equals to average demand divided by the rated system capacity. So we know this formula, we have seen this formula, but we have deduced one more formula from the load factor, that is equals to average demand upon maximum demand is equals to load factor, and plant capacity factor is equals to maximum demand into load factor divided by the rated system capacity. So we should understand this, we should learn by heart this formula also in the sum question, some district question, rather than the maximum demand, rather than the average demand for asking for plant capacity factor. It is given as maximum demand and the load factor, which was the previous example. It was not directly given the average demand, so we have to find the average demand first of all, then to find the plant capacity or the plant capacity factor. So we must learn that formula also, we must understand, we must learn by heart that formula, that is the maximum demand into load factor divided by the rated system capacity is equals to the plant capacity factor. So please remember that formula. Now coming to the example number 3, which is the plant capacity factor as 0.5, and the plant utilization factor is given as 0.6. So you have to find the load factor. You have to find the load factor. How to find the load factor now? Coming back to the formula for maximum demand and for the plant capacity factor and plant utilization factor. So I can write plant capacity factor is equals to average demand divided by plant capacity and I can have another formula of plant utilization factor. This is called the plant utilization factor, PUF, is equals to the maximum demand divided by the plant capacity, or it is also known as rated system capacity, and the plant capacity and one and the same thing. So in this question we have to find the load factor. So we know the plant capacity factor is equals to average demand upon the plant capacity or the rated system capacity, and the plant utilization factor is equals to the maximum demand upon the plant capacity or the rated system capacity. So how to find the load factor from this? These two are given. How to find the load factor? So by clearly looking at this thing, if I divide both the things, plant capacity factor to the plant utilization factor, one can understand that these two will get cancelled out. So plant capacity factor divided by plant utilization factor is directly equal to the load factor. So this is very important deduced formula from both these two things, that the plant capacity factor to the plant utilization factor is called the load factor. So what is load factor right now, or what is load factor we understood till now is the average demand upon the maximum demand. So this, if these two are gone, so the rest thing which is here is called as the average demand to the maximum demand, so which is also equivalent to the load factor. So we can directly now say that the plant capacity factor to the plant utilization factor is equals to the load factor. So coming back to this question now. So the plant capacity factor is given as 0.5. So 0.5 divided by 0.6 is called as the load factor, which is equals to 0.833. So the answer is 0.833. This is the load factor and this is the answer of this example number 3.